As the old captain used to say, he said, I played cricket, he said, I played football, he said, I've played skittles, he said, and I've done bell ringing. He said, the camaraderie in bell ringing is superior to any of it.
My brother rings, my sister rings, and my nephews and nieces ring.
You've got a musical instrument on a piece of rope 60 feet away from you that you have to get to strike exactly at the right time with 5 other ringers.
We have such a long tradition in this tower. 1480 is our first mention, so I don't want to be the one that drops the baton.
Well, all the call change ringers in Devon, the top ringers in Devon, have sort of qualified and come to this competition, and it's the best of the best of call change ringing.
Well, everything, basically, the county is split into 6 sections for ringing, 3 north, 3 south, and it roughly follows the A30, everything north of the A30 and south of the A30. It's not exactly, but that's the rough boundary.
Yes, the final is when you get the top 5 from North Devon and the top 5 from South Devon, and we all ring together at a tower, and it alternates between the south and the north.
For the last 4 years, I think we've come second.
Mr. President, fellow bell ringers, ladies and gentlemen, this is the results that my 4 judges have arrived at.
I had messages on the morning of the competition saying, good luck, go get them, bring it back.
In 3rd place, field number 4 with 16 1/4 faults.
Cheers, thank you.
I didn't think we'd done quite enough to get over the line, so when it got down to the final 2 and you're thinking, oh well, sure we've won it, we'll just have to endure on going up and getting the trophy again.
And in 2nd place, field number 9.
Shaw Pryor.
With 15.
And then they said the 2nd place with whatever, Shaw Pryor, and it's like, you sort of take a second to register, but actually it's not you that's going up for 2nd place.
We've only got 1 left, so it must be the winner.
So when they said 2nd place, Shaw Pryor, we just knew that we won it.
Field number 11 with 13 1/2 volts.
Down St Mary's.
So delighted, absolutely delighted.
I don't know about the others, but I felt just massively relieved when we did it, because we've been so close over the last few years that it's just
it was our turn.
Just gets that pressure off.
It's nice to have done it. It feels like a sort of weight has been lifted off of us.
So what makes you a winning team?
Just practicing and getting on and enjoying it. We've been trying for a long time, and we've got it. I'd shake it again, but can't. It's the pinnacle of what we do competition-wise. We're the best team in Devon. No, we're chuffed, really chuffed. And this man here, he was in the last team to win it for Devon North.
Really?
Mullen
in
2000.
Oh,
That's
right.
the last time Devon North won it. All the other times it's been down south.
Yeah.
Yeah. back north. It's back north again. We're there to be beaten, so yeah, we'll have to practice.
You're the holders going into the 100th year, is that significant?
Well, I think it's got to be, yeah. Now you've said that.
It's quite a celebratory time at the moment because 2024 is the 150th anniversary of the Devonshire Guild of Ringers, method ringing, and 2025 is the centenary, the 100th anniversary of the Devon Association of Ringers, call change ringing.
One of the key people that instigated the formation of the Devon Association was the Reverend, unusual name, Reverend Augustine Florence McCarthy.
It started at Zio Monacorum, and I think it was because they were trying to promote call change ringing and teach learners.
There was a lot of activity of bell founding in the late 1700s, and a lot of the bells will be cast by the Pennington dynasty of bell founders from Stoke Climsland, and cast as a ring of 5 bells with a treble that was added in the early 1900s when the tradition sort of evolved into 6 bell ringing, and that's when the call changes would have been more prevalent, you know, as opposed to just the plain round ringing up and down with 5.
Affiliated towers got together and competed against each other, probably initially in round ringing, but from then I think it progressed into call change ringing.
The main difference between the two sets of ringing, if you like, in simplistic terms, is call change ringing is, as the name implies, somebody calls the changes. 1, 3. So that you haven't got to remember anything, you're effectively told what to do. Whereas method ringing, you have to learn a particular pattern and keep to that without a word being spoken.
The towns and the cities mainly were method ringers. And I think education may have played a part here, because I think mainly the people that were ringing were coming from universities. And we were on, I suppose I can say this, to a certain extent, the poor relations.
It was this sort of white collar, blue collar thing. And maybe there's an element of sort of suburbia and the rural parts, if you like. But yeah, very much so the educated, you know, and the less well educated, or the uneducated, as perhaps they would say. The call change ringers, the round ringers at Devon and Cornwall, they took a hell of a pasting, you know, in the late 1800s. From the, if you look in the Bell News, the periodical of that time, you know, pre-ringing world, some of the reports, they absolutely slaughtered them. They were with the sarcasm and everything. So Charles Troit, Charles Troit, change ringing, 4 editions, 1869 to 1880. It is a most laughable thing to see Devonshire round ringers ringing call changes. On the word treble to second, 5 to third, you will sometimes see all the ringers, 10 a man and all, give a jump as if they had been shot, and turn their whole bodies round to stare and glare at the man after whom they are ordered to pull. It would make a 5,000, that's a method peal, hardish work if this were necessary. And so that's typical of the tone that they adopted. In fact, that's quite mild compared to what the editor of the Bell News used to sound, the way he used to sound off.
Oh, may our bells be heard, their message is so clear. Oh, come and hear God's word, oh, come and worship Him.
We were brought up to go to church every Sunday, and I was sitting in the choir at the time, but I'm not really a very good singer. And when my voice broke, I thought, well, ringing was probably a better option than singing in a choir for me.
I'd made some throwaway comment about bell ringing when I was in Morchard, and I used to catch a lift at Morchard Road. And this guy came across the road and said, "Are you Bob Robinson?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "I'm Tom Wright, and I'm going to teach you ring the bells." So Tom was the sort of guy where you'd say, "Fine, okay." So that was it, 16 years old, and yeah, that's how I started.
I used to be in the village choir up in Wiltshire where we lived, and used to get there early, and an old boy was up in the tower and he was chiming a bell in each hand, and I went up to watch him one day, and I said, "Can I have a go?" And he said, "You catch hold the third," he said, "and just follow me." So that's what I did, just chiming, and then he said, "Would you like to learn?" So I said yes, and they taught me to ring.
And that's a good way to learn organically, because that's how I learned. I wasn't really taught at any particular stage. I went along from a very young age, and just watching the ropes go up and down, listening to what was going on, you learn an awful lot like that.
I come from a ringing family, so I've been in the bell tower since I was about 2. I think it's always been in my brain, like the whole ringing concept. Like I think by the time I was probably like 7, I could, figure out what they were doing-ish. And then I probably started when I was about 9 or 10.
I started ringing when I was about 6, but I've been into it since I was about 3. I was listening to the Okehampton clock tower chiming on the hour and was just fascinated by it. So then we went up to the main church in Okehampton, and I was just up in the tower watching, and then they set up a little dummy bell rope for me to just pull and ring along, but it wasn't connected to anything. And then I started my bell handling it in Woodley, and that's when I was about 5, and that was probably where it started.
Me who started it, a chance encounter with a neighbour who I barely knew, who said, "Would you be interested in bell ringing?" I committed myself on a moment of weakness, I think, and went home to Roger and told him about it, and I think he said, "What have you done? Why?"
Trying to do anything when you're old is much more challenging, and the only way you can really be an expert at bell ringing is by learning when you're in your teens probably, and then just going up through the years. So it's quite a shame really learning in our early 60s that we'll never be as good as some of the other ringers are.
But I would say everyone's been really tolerant. There's no criticism, there's only help. They're very willing to give up their time, as you say, and look after us. And I think they want bell ringing to continue. They can see that if they don't bring on learners like us, it's going to die out.
2, 5.
You have a difficulty now. In some areas, there are a lot of people who would like to ring the bells, but there's no one there to teach them. So that's one of the things that the association are trying to do, have workshops and move around the county to teach people to ring.
1, 2.
hold the title of training officer. It's coordinating, bringing experienced ringers along to help any tower that is in need of some experienced ringers, to give them their learners the opportunity to do something different. Now, Paul, that's from your name, or James, one of you. We've been having a little training session with some experienced ringers to ring around Andy's learners.
You've got to do changes. Okay, so don't get confused. You just have to tell him to cut or to slow up.
Okay.
Right, okay, everyone ready? Trevor's going, she's gone. There are a lot of towers out there that have good teams but don't teach, and if you don't teach, it will die out. And I think, you know, teaching and bringing people on and developing people is really, really important.
Just a bit higher. That's it. Nice pull. Right up.
2 to 3.
That's brilliant. Follow 2.
Follow all from that?
2, yeah. Because when they're training on their own, that's one thing. Ringing a bell by yourself is quite different to ringing with 5 others or more.
I'm supposed to be lining, isn't I?
Yeah. Keep pulling. Some people like to be talked to, some don't, some like to be helped with what they do with the rope, some like just be able to do it themselves, so it's finding what works for anybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, last year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull, reach, yeah, pull, harder, reach right up, right. Alright, you've lost your coil, don't worry. But by watching and listening to what they're doing, you can often identify something that'll just make that difference and just help them on their way. Especially the first half of that, before you lost your rope, was brilliant.
Well, that's what I tend to do.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, does that make sense?
I can feel where I should be, but
Right,
it's just
good.
doing it time after time after time.
Yeah,
So.
that's practice.
Yeah.
Another 50 years, you'll be...
That's right.
A lot of the people who are learning tend to be more mature now, retired or getting that way.
2 to 3, so that's Sally, and then just hold up the fraction over Abby, please. And so now we can look after Abby, so look at Abby.
And that's a worry in the long term, because you want to keep it going for the likes of these guys to have people to ring with in the future. And we need more younger ones, because they're the ones who pick it up and will carry it forwards.
Don't move.
How we get them interested and involved is another challenge. There are plenty of ringers, but we need more younger ringers, definitely.
So what would the 2 of you on the outside say to the 2 on the inside?
Bring your friends. That's right.
Seeing the train coming in and seeing the 3 bells coming off, that really is history in the making.
That's the peace bell. And by next weekend they should be in that church up there, ringing with the other 3.
When my daughter got married here, it was 3 Blind Mice that was played.
We've only got 3 bells in the tower. I came up with a few other people with the idea of a Jubilee bell to celebrate the Queen's Jubilee. and to say thanks for all she's done during her reign. And because she was so well loved in this village, people wanted to give money to it. And the money rolled in and we thought, well, what else can we do? Let's get another bell. And then, unfortunately, the Queen died while we were still doing the fundraising. So then we got the coronation bell for King Charles. And then very kindly, Gary Lewis has sponsored the third bell, which is being called the Peace Bell, in honour of his father.
I'm Gary Lewis, the son of the Kingswear evacuee, Thomas William Lewis. I knew that an organisation in the Kingswear village were raising funds for one bell, and then when I heard about it, I mentioned it to the church council that I'd be interested in sponsoring a peace bell, which also honoured my father's memory, and they were receptive and basically said, look, if you can donate a little bit more than the bell costs, it'd be enough for us to get a full complement of 6 bells.
In 1939, the present tenor was recast because it was cracked. The other 2 bells were refurbished and rehung in a new 6-bell frame, awaiting for this day. It's probably the longest running tailors project ever, from 1939 to 2024. Hopefully by the end of this week the project will be completed. We can hear 6 bells ringing out in Kingswear. This is the peace bell, and on the back are 2 poppies.
The father arrived on the steam train from Paddington in 1943. It was his 3rd evacuation during the Second World War. On this occasion it was due to the use of the V1 and V2 rockets.
Brings back a few memories.
And he comes down to Kingswear. He came all the way from Paddington to Churchton Station, which is near Kingswear. And then children were taken off the train and taken to various different parts of Tor Bay, including Kingswear. As a boy, I had this romantic vision that my father actually arrived in Kingswear on the train. And then when I found out he hadn't, it was a little bit disappointing. So yeah, it was nice to finally finish the journey and arrive on the train.
It's a particular privilege for us because all 4 of us are sailors. We race a yacht together. We bring our boat down to Dartmouth Regatta. So next year when we come down to Kingswear and we're moored and we hear the church bells, we'll know that we saw those 3 bells coming on the train. And I believe the gentleman said we can even go up to the belfry if we can. We'll be taking Henry out and we'll be able to tell him every year, you were on the train when this was transporting the bells.
When the bells arrived into the station, I'd already had a call from St Saviour's over in Dartmouth to say would they like them to ring the bells over there to welcome the new bells. And the peal was ringing right across the water. How magnificent.
So we've just been over to Dartmouth and rang in the welcoming peal.
Well, it was brilliant. I mean, I've never rung at St Saviour's before, so I was also getting to know the bells as well. They're very nice bells, and to be able to ring some more bells in to Kingswear, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a perfect. Yeah, you've got the soundscape, the waterscape, and the landscape as well. Yeah, it's nice to be a part of the day and say we were here and everything. So yeah, it's really nice occasion.
Drop it down now.
Don't worry.
Okay, we have to try and get it onto it. Go on, down.
Right, is that on the trolley?
Yeah.
Right, down.
Ready? 6, 3. Yeah.
So what ramp's on this one?
Well, I was, I think, very lucky to have a grandfather that was a bell ringer. He was the captain of the ringers at Kenton, and I was born within the sound of Kenton church bells. So when I became 11, he said to me, "When are you going to start bell ringing?" So I went.
My father and my late uncle were both ringers. My mother learnt after I did, but her uncle also was a ringer.
And your brother?
And my brother rings, yes.
This is my parents' ashes, remains here. My father died in 2015 and my mother died in 2016. So yes, going back, they moved here when I was about 4 in 1955. So I've lived in Kingston more or less all my life and started going up the tower with my father from about 4 years old. I think I started ringing when I was 8, and because, like a lot of other people, you can learn so much from watching, I was fairly lucky in that I picked it up fairly quickly. I do have an uncle, Kitchener Avery, who was also a ringer here at King's Stainton for many years, and his name, as with quite a few other Averys, are on many certificates up in the tower.
My dad rings, my uncles ring, my aunties ring, grandparents ring. Yeah, great-grandparents used to ring and then they passed away. But most of my dad's family.
Earlier this year we lost our long-standing tower captain, my predecessor, Julia Endicott. Her father, Percy Rice, had been tower captain before her. He'd taken it on in 1946. She was going down to Plymouth to be a radiographer, and I think Percy had said, well, you know, you better learn to ring then, sort of thing, or she said to him, or vice versa. Anyways, she was trained up, you know, to learn to handle a bell, handle a rope, and that's where she got in with the Plymstock team, who were a good team, you know, top team. Jack Ine, the captain, apparently wouldn't allow any women in the tower, but that had to change, obviously, when he suddenly had a sort of ready-made ringer presented to him. So that must have been quite a change at the time. And she rang with Plymstock, and this would have been the early '60s. So Julia, anyway, well, that was breaking new ground, really, not just for, you know, Plymstock, but, you know, generally. In the earlier days, she was she was very much in the vanguard of the, you know, in the 1960s as the women and the mini skirts start to find their way into the towers. If you look at some of the old newspaper clippings of some of the teams at the time, you know, you've got this contrast with the old boys there with the, you know, very much the cloth cap era, and then the young maids in their 1960s, you know, mini skirts and that. It's you can see it in the newspaper cut-ins of the time. Yeah.
When you look back at certificates, you don't see many female names on there. I think perhaps back then, women was, I shouldn't say this really, but women were at home and they had to stay home and look after the house, the children, and they didn't go out and do things like hobbies as such.
To be fair, women weren't allowed to ring for a long time, but I had a lovely teacher, she was called Pat Johnston, and from then on she sort of brought all women into, everybody was up and ringing and women taking over near enough really. In a lot of places it's more women than men now.
We have quite a lot of females at our team, yes. We outnumber the men. They aren't sort of all into competition ringing, but they all come and they help on Sundays and come to practices. So yeah, there's quite a lot of us. There's lots of friendship with everybody and it's mixing with people.
When you walk into a tower and you might not even know any of them and you walk in and say you're a ringer, most of the time you're instantly welcomed.
And even though we sort of go around to competition ringing, we'll all help each other out. If someone's short of a ringer, you'll go in and ring for their team. And you won't sabotage it, you'll try and win if you can with their team.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
You get accused afterwards, you don't ring as well as that when you ring it with us.
Yes, I know.
Well, the bell behind me has got an interesting story because in 2015, one Sunday morning when we were raising the bells, suddenly the treble started making a peculiar noise. I sat them in and pulled it out on its own, and obviously something had cracked and it was making a completely different sound from what it normally made. We put it on display in the church because it's not easy to take ringers up into the belfry to show them the bells up in the belfry, because like ours you've got to climb up a ladder through the clock chamber, so we thought it would be better served as on display in the church to explain to young ringers what actually happens when you're ringing.
So the bells, they're 3 on 3, so we go to the top level, so we look down, right down through the whole lot, okay? Just be, do you want to, there's steel flooring down there that you can stand on. I think there's a lot of bell ringers that don't appreciate what goes on up in with the bells. Originally, church towers didn't have 6 bells. More often than not, they're either 3 or 5, and then they're augmented to 6 as time went on. So as you can see, we're struggling to get 3 bells in one level. I mean, you've got to allow them to swing. So as you see at the moment, they're hanging down. That's the minimum room. When they're at 1:45 to 1:15, that's the maximum length of the swing that they need. So to get 6 bells on one level here, you just couldn't physically get them in. There's a lot of maintenance to be done. I suppose I'm always been a bit handy with the tools, and whether it's mechanical or carpentry or whatever else, so I've got an appreciation of what's required to be done, and if I wasn't, I guess we'd have to employ somebody. And so yeah, you've got to appreciate how things are built, how things are put together, and I guess how to maintain them. So it's not alien.
It all goes back about 20 years. We knew the tower needed to be repointed, and being very selfish, knowing that if the tower fell down I wouldn't have my bells, I pushed for the tower to be restored. The tower is leaking water into the church, and it was because all the mortar had gone between the stones. And of course it's lime mortar, so you can't just get, John and myself up there with a bit of cement and fill out the gaps. You've got to break it all out and fill it up with lime mortar again. So the tower was repointed in about 2018-19. The bells were out of action then for 2 years. And when we went back to ring them, they were virtually impossible to ring.
Yes.
I don't know why, they just deteriorated. So we then decided that we'd got a bit of money left over from doing the church, and I pushed to get the bells done, and the PCC agreed. They weren't allowed to do a great deal to them because several of the bells were medieval. They're dated sort of 1500. So because they couldn't really touch those two bells, they couldn't really actually retune the bells. But they refurbished the wheels, refurbished the bells, new headstocks, new clappers, new pulleys, new ropes, new guides, everything. When we started doing this, there were one or two that said, "Why are you doing that? Why are you spending all that money?" And my answer was, they've been there for 400, 500 years. That tower's been there for nearly 1,000 years. It's been looked after by everybody in the past, and it's up to us to look after it for the people in the future.
The ringers were very much autonomous, or semi-autonomous at least, and I think this was part of the problem. Obviously, they're up underneath the bells on the floor above there, and they can drink and smoke, and often they were paid for their beer and, paid in beer perhaps. And obviously the church reformers of the Victorian times, that was no, not having that. So the ropes came down to the floor and full view of the congregation. And then you get to a later stage where sort of, the compromise level, if you like, on the mezzanine level here that we are today, and that's a common theme across towers, 75.
As we all know, ringing chambers are not for public access. People don't go into them, which I think is a great pity because, as you've just seen on the walls here, there's our history, our heritage, and this is in many of the church towers in Devon. Some of them no longer have teams, yet these teams were very competitive and very active. And that's really the only kind of definitive record you have of ringing activities.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful heritage, really wonderful. I'm really moved when I see these certificates and go into the towers and see the plaques on the wall and the incredible heritage that's there, and it's part of the history of a community.
I think when you read a certificate in somebody's tower, you look up there and think, oh, there's that, and you recognise the name and you think, oh, is that related to person now? And think, oh, so they've been ringing that long, and then the certificates were all a bit more intricate as well, I think. When you look at some of the pictures, the artwork on them, I noticed in some towers.
Now, the bells are about to ring out in Kingswear after a huge fundraising campaign to replace one of them at the local church. The campaign at St Thomas of Canterbury Church was so successful they were able to purchase not one but 3 new bells. This evening the people of the village are gathering for the bells to be officially rung for the very first time, and our South Devon reporter John Ayres is there for us. John.
Yes, there's been some great work from the community here to make this happen. As you can see, they're all waiting for the bells to be rung in just a moment, and it's been quite a busy day. They've been busy trying to get the bells ready and in place, ready to do it.
Okay. Raising the bell now. so it can stay on the stop block. It's much easier to do without the clapper in. Yeah, that's okay. That's the second. There's 2 punch marks on there.
What are you doing here, Carl?
Put the clappers in.
Yeah, push.
And now I'm centering the clappers, so I'm just going to disappear into the garage. Oh god. This is not precise for the minute. That's do for tonight. Yeah, I'll go with that. That's time. Just give it a bit of it to the.
Knocking off the twiddle pin to centralise the clapper.
You got me in?
Yeah, you can just take this way, Nick.
We've rung the 3. Yeah. We've come down and do weddings with the 3 old ones, but it'd be lovely to ring the whole 6 of them. It's going to be great. We're looking forward to ringing the bells here. It'd be really great to have them all going.
And how does it feel to be the first to ring them?
Pretty good.
Privileged. We're privileged to be able to ring the bells for the first time so many years. The workman is still here. But yeah, it's an honour. Very pleased.
And it's going to be great to keep stops ringing. Quiet!
Workman is still here.
I should watch your head if I was you. It's coming down that hole above you. I need somebody else for 2, please. Oh, where's you going, Nick? I thought that was a jumpy one.
You can't reach it.
Why don't you do it then?
Why doesn't Nick do that?
Yeah.
You do the other one.
The great thing is the entire village has come together for this.
Yeah, I should just call Queens.
Are we doing that?
You'll have to listen out because it's so loud.
It is, isn't it?
Call
Without
it.
trouble, yeah.
And I think the ringing of the bells here tonight is going to signify all the hard work that's been put into it.
I thought they said 1 minute.
Councillor, thank you very much. Well, I tell you what, they've been working so hard. It really has been quite an incredible effort. And now here's the big moment. So here we go. 3,
go,
2, 1.
Go. Going. She's gone.
Here we go.
Let it up, guys.
Smile, you're supposed to enjoy this one.
Not when you're concentrating.
It's brought the village together. Everyone's come out to support it. It's wonderful to all our friends and neighbours out here and listen to this wonderful sound.
Love it. It's brilliant. It's not playing Three Blind Mice anymore.
Yes.
It's just lovely to hear the bells ringing, so I can hear them from the top of the hill. And again, not to hear 3 blind mice, but a full set. Fantastic. Hi, and I've put my name forward to be a bell ringer.
Well, there you go. Oh, tell me more. What have you done?
I have put myself forward to be a bell ringer because I want to be part of the community here.
This year is the centenary, I think it's of his death, of the Reverend Sabine Baring Gould, again, you know, a great churchman, hymn writer and folk song collector. Invaluable work that they did at a time when, you know, a lot of these songs would be start to get lost. And he must have covered some miles in Devon and finding out some of the old singers, you know, who could sing these things. So him and perhaps one of his friends who would, you obviously haven't got a phone that you can just record them. They haven't to jot it down on manuscript paper. So they toured around and got a lot of these old songs written down. And there's a great tie-up here because we talk about the Devon Choir Chamber tradition being very much a folk tradition. And sure enough, in amongst all of this opus of folk song, there are a good several ringing folk songs, and very much again associated with the competitive ringing.
But the men of North Lowland, so steady and true that there never was better in Devon, I hold.
The most well-known one is a version of the Men of North Loo that take on Broadwood Widger in a competition in Ashwater in West Devon, and the North Loo emerged victorious and Broadwood challenged them to a rematch. But the melody has got all these little bell motifs. It's got these little sort of bell motifs that you musical motifs that you get from the ringing. It really has the feel of the ringing, yeah. So to celebrate it, Wren Trust very much wanted to do a day involving this song. It's a well-known one. So a day retracing the steps of this song, if you like. So we're starting at North Loo, we're going to go to Ashwater, where we're going to have a challenge. I'm going to have a South Devon side as the current vice chairman. And my counterpart, Jamie, is getting a North Devon side together. We hope to have a belt and a hat laced with gold, as according to the song, but whether we get that in time, I don't know. It's a very much a West Country thing, and I think it really brings home, you know, how they're all part of this sort of larger oral tradition that you get in a, you know, particularly in a rural setting. I'm feeling right now mightily relieved, I think is probably the answer. But it's all come together beautifully, and I think everybody has thoroughly enjoyed themselves. Hopefully it made a memorable occasion.
Right, so the winning peal is peal number 1 with 52.5 volts. No, this is the I've also ensured, because some ringers' girths are bigger than others. I've got a stretchy belt, so.
Oh, I haven't put it. I'll have to do that later on. But anyway, you get the impression. So there you are. Congratulations for winning.
One of the sort of musics I was in my teaching side of my life, I came across samba, and I used to love samba. And again, you've got a whole load of people, each one on an individual instrument, putting their little bit of the rhythm exactly in place. But you know, you actually have to feel it. You have really got to feel it. And I think that the really top ringers will really feel that rhythm, and some of the old school ones, you know, you can see it in the movement and the way they handle the bell. Handle the rope is almost part of them, you know. It's not two separate things, you know, and it all becomes as one.
You can ring a peal of bells gently. You can ring a peal of bells very hard. And we were ringing in a competition at Exbourne, and we came out and another team came out, and the judge looked at me and he said, "You haven't won it by," he said, "but I'd sooner dance to yours than theirs." He said, "They hammered them into place, you rang them into place, and there's a difference."
As we enter this second century of the association, it's a new era, and if the tradition which the association was supposedly founded to maintain, if you haven't got the ringers, that ain't going to happen. So the focus now has to be, you know, training, recruitment and training.
I moved here in 2018, and there were just 4 ringers including me, and then 2 of them left. One retired through ill health and the other moved house. So that just left 2 of us, and so I saw an urgent need to train new people. There's a local school which the church has close contact with. There's a children's worker in the church, a families worker, so making the contacts wasn't difficult. So we needed some means of being able to teach a lot of people without aggravating the neighbours.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got a simulator system to save the neighbours being aggravated by single bells being rung and so on. And it consists of a sensor which you might be able to see. Yeah, there's one there, which is an infrared sensor that shines at the wheel, and then when that reflective strip comes round, it sends a pulse to the computer. And the computer then goes ding. When you are, I think, Tanya, thanks. And we have a sound system with speakers in the ceiling, so it sounds as though we're actually ringing, and it's actually a recording of our own bells that we use. Okay, I've got the tie. I simply throw it over the headstock like that. Then I come down and grab the one end there and put it over the clap at one side. Pull that like that and put it over the clap at the other side. And then as the bell swings, the clapper is held tight in the middle of the bell. But in all other respects, you're ringing the full weight of the bell. You know, it doesn't feel any different. I mean, I knew about tying bells, obviously, from forever. People have been tying bells for practicing silently, but all you could do when I learnt was practice absolutely silent. There was no ringing at all going on. So this is a big advance on that, using latest technology, really, and it's good.
Look two, treble's going. She's gone.
I'm Isla.
And how old are you?
I'm 11. I'm Jamila and I'm 12.
I'm Kelly. Do I have to say hello? Are you her mum?
I am.
Okay, you're Jamila's mum.
I am. Look two, treble's going. She's gone.
I'm Alison. I'm over 21. This is my daughter Katie and my son Samuel. And how old are you, Katie?
13.
The door was open during lockdown.
Yeah,
and
and
Katie.
I was stood outside listening, and Tim came out and said, "Oh, would you like to have a try?" I was about 10, so it would have been 3 years ago, and I said, "Yes, please," and we came and had a try.
Pull. Right, you got to pull that one.
And you are?
Nathaniel.
And how old are you?
9.
And you belong to Tim.
Hands up high as you can. Think what you're going to do first, okay? Ball, let go of the sally, hands on the end. Right way down and catch. Brilliant. There you go over by there. That's it. Right.
And how old are you? 6.
She's going to be a good ringer.
Yeah, lovely.
Good pull. Yeah.
Yes.
And Dominic as well, he's very young. These are the youngest two I've ever taught.
And what drew you to the bells?
Because my granddad does it.
Who's your granddad? Okay. And does your dad do it too, or your mum?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a ringing family. Yeah. How did you get
I grew
into
up in a village in Wiltshire, and there was so little to do that it was something to do, to be honest. And also there were a lot of nice girls learning to ring, and I was a teenager, so it was a good way of meeting people. Oh, 6, well done, you've been brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, Ava's nearly ringing on her own now, and that's only been 3 or 4 weeks, really, hasn't it? Doing it 2 ends. Yeah. One more pull. Yeah, leave it to me this one. Hold the end. Fantastic. Well done. Brilliant.
Why are you doing this?
I think it's really fun when you learn all these new skills and you meet all these new people.
And there's not many things where both genders and all ages can do it on an equal footing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, these will be, honest, I'm not just kidding, but they'll be far better ringers than me in a few years' time.
So how long are you all going to ring bells for?
As long as possible. Yeah.
It's going to be quite a long day, I think. It's divided into 3 sections to try and accommodate all stages of people learning. The first section that's about to kick off any minute is just round ringing with no changes involved at all.
Okay, so we should have, if I'm correct, can you just shout out if you're here? Chagford, Berry Narber.
So here's a familiar face. Tell me what you told me down in Kingswear and what's happened as a result.
Well, I told you in Kingswear, so this would have been last summer, that I wanted to become a bell ringer, and it's all because of the talking to the village and about hearing about the story of the new bells. And I am a bell ringer now, and I'm in my first novice competition.
And how are you going to do today, do you think?
Well, I've been ringing for 4 months, and so have the people I'm with today. So we don't know, but it's got us out of Kingswear for the day, and it should be a lot of fun.
It's so encouraging to see people here today in so many numbers. It's great to see them from literally all over the county.
So that's Peel 1, Peel 2, Peel 3.
Fantastic to see, and it bodes well for the future.
How many people, how many teams?
My goodness me, there are over 30 teams. I'm not quite sure how many towers are involved, but it's so encouraging to see 33 teams, I think, entering. Brilliant.
Right. So, I'm just going to read them out in the order in which they won. Okay, so the winners were, with 19 1/4 faults, Peel number 7, Ilfracombe. Second, with 20 1/2 faults, Kingswear 2.
So we have taken part in our first novice competition, and we have come second.
How do you feel?
Amazing. That's 4 months worth of learning how to play the bells. It's absolutely incredible.
Once you get into that rhythm, you know, once you get past the rare learner stage, there's so much joy it can become of, and being part of a team as well, you know, and the social side of it is not just the ringing. There's a lot of people doing a lot of work in trying to get the towers ringing. You know, we've got a day coming up at the end of May where we're trying to get 100 towers ringing, and so there's lots of activity really in trying to get the interest going with the next generation of ringers.
What do you see as the priorities in this centenary year?
Well, it's to try and keep the tradition going, the centuries-old tradition of bell ringing, to bring on the next generation. Okay, let's do that. Trip's going. He's gone. The majority of ringing here at the cathedral is method ringing. On the 5th Sunday, today of which is one, we have a chord change band. 1, 6! So chord change ringers from all over the county come and ring for Evensong on the 5th Sunday. Because I do and love both chord changes and method ringing, I thought that was an ideal opportunity for chord change ringers of like-mindedness to come and ring on these glorious bells.
And if we look forward 100 years, what state will it be in then, do you think?
Well, my goodness me, unfortunately I shan't be here to tell, but it'd be great if we can get the youth involved with it to, as I say, to bring on the next generation.